Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Scorch the Fears. I think we're at episode 14 right now. Right now, we're waiting for our mystery guest. He's such a cool guy. He said he basically went in and I basically lost my original guest that I was gonna have on, and he had a family emergency, and now I think I think we're gonna get him on pretty soon. Hopefully, I don't have to restart the broadcast or anything like that. I just wanted to start it off though, just so that you guys know that it's still happening. We're still doing it, and I might just monologue for a little bit. If anybody who's in watching right now has any questions just about wholesaling or anything else, 100% put it in there. If nobody has anything, then I'm just going to kind of go a little bit into what really the point of Scorch the Fears is, because I don't think I've really done this that much, at all, where I really talk about what is the purpose of this entire podcast. Why am I even doing this? So, the main reason why I'm doing this more than anything else is because I really want to give people who are thinking about going either into this industry or planning on going into some sort of entrepreneurial adventure. I want them to know that we all deal with fears. We all deal with mental states. We all deal with everything. It's really hard to overcome those things in order to start a business or to keep a business going. And it with business, it never really ends, Like it doesn't really ever end. Trying to get over mindset barriers. Honestly, it's like a lifetime thing to get over mindset barriers, in my opinion. I've talked a lot about this on previous episodes, I believe, where I talk about I had a huge mindset barrier about spending money and how that happens and why I had this preconception about having to have enough money and making sure that you never run out of money and that you should really not spend too much. It's a mix of frugality and kind of um, frugality, but also in business, you need to spend money to make money. So I've gotten much more okay spending a lot of money in order to grow the business and get into what it needs to be, right? So, and also I've just learned, basically just did my taxes, and the government takes so much of it that you might as well spend it all anyways. Spend as much of it as you can. Honestly, if you're less profitable, then you're more, you don't have to pay as much taxes. That's one part of it. And then another part of it too is that, it's just, you want to keep growing the business. It's what tech companies do, is they just keep spending money until he's gonna come on soon, until they have no profit. I don't know if you guys know this. Not Apple. Sites like Spotify, a lot of these big tech companies, they don't make any money at all. They make $0. It's kind of insane to think that Amazon and Facebook and those ones literally made no money for most of their careers. And now they're just starting to make money, which means they're finally just starting to make taxes. But I guess I'm kind of rambling as I wait for my guest to come on, but it's okay. I'm going to go back to mindset a little bit there, though. One of the points, like I just said, of Scorch the Fears is to help people get over fears. But it's also to make people really understand it's okay to have fears. And it's okay to keep having, even if you are having mindset issues, that's fine. It's totally okay. We all have them. It's why I bring on these really successful people and ask them their stories and go through what they're doing and how they get over things. one of the cool things that I've done recently is I've started listening to this Tony Robbins video. I'm gonna bring up the link for you guys, for the people who are watching this live. It's an amazing video. I watch it every single morning. It's like my morning ritual. Oh, here we go. Hey,
What's
hey.
up, Jonah? What's happening, man?
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Scorch the Fears.
All right, thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on last minute. It means a lot to me. Chad Glover was gonna come on, but then he has some family stuff happening, so I was like, okay, I gotta who would be a dope guest right now? And I'm like, Chuck Billy is for sure going to be a dope guest. I was 90% sure you would not be able to make it.
Oh, no,
I
come
was
on,
like,
man.
that guy's way too busy.
No. We just got off a call, and she actually ran over. She texted her person and said, "Give me 4 minutes." I'm like, "All right, I got to go in 4 minutes now." So sorry for being late, but here we are.
Oh, you're good, man. I'm glad you're here. That's awesome. You're literally increasing the viewer count. Before that, I was just going monologuing for a second. But
Right
amazing, man. So real quick, kind of introduce yourself to the audience for the people who don't really know you. How long have you been in real estate? Like how long have you been
Well,
doing this whole real estate game?
well, just a little about myself. I'm actually a professional singer.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, I've been a professional singer, musician for in the same band for 35 years, over 35 years, touring the world. We're still making records and still touring. And I leave on tour actually April 8th next month for a 6-week tour.
Nice.
So I've been doing it, but I've chose a career that doesn't have a retirement plan.
Right.
And so I'm going to turn 60 years old this year. And
you don't look a day over 30.
And I'm like, holy smokes, man. Well, I know one day I'm probably going to not be singing anymore. What am I going to do? And so I had a 401k plan, and I just said, you know what? Someone told me, let's move that thing into a self-directing IRA and invest in real estate. So that kind of was like, ding, the light bulb went off.
How long ago was this?
This is 2 years ago.
Okay.
So the light bulb went off. So I right away, I joined another mentorship. Spent a fortune of money. It's mostly book learning, not a lot of hands-on training, not a lot of one-on-one training. And it really didn't pan out like I thought it was going to do. I always wanted to fix and flip houses. That's why I joined that. And that's not what I really ended up doing. I was kind of dragging my feet until another student that was in that program told me about Pace Morby and Sub 2. And I was like, okay, let's check him out. And so I watched Pace for a couple of weeks. Said, man, this is good stuff right here. I learned more in 2 weeks watching this free content than I did during my whole mentorship. And so I decided I'm going to join that mentorship. Mm-hmm. And I got into the mentorship November 2021, I believe, something like that.
Nice.
And right away, just dove right in, just studying. And plus COVID was in, so it was a lot of staying home and just watching videos, just learning. And finally, talking to Pace, I called Pace early on and tried to be a private lender to him. Mm. And we just had a good talk. And the thing he always kept seeing him in his Zooms and always took it to heart to me was take action.
Yeah.
You need to take action. Hmm. And that really struck a nerve for me. I'm like, man, I know all this stuff. I got enough knowledge. I confident I can do this, but you're afraid to put your toe in the water, or to jump out there. So I did. I just dove in and took action and went for it, and didn't look back after that. And
I love that.
Yeah. So then I got into the mentorship, and the first thing that really caught my eye was this thing called a novation agreement that they do. And so I really was intrigued by that. I'm like, I want to do those. And
explain what a novation agreement is to the laymen who are watching.
Well, basically, a novation is basically you're coming to an agreement with the seller on a net price that they're happy with at the closing table. And I'll come in and bring in my rehab money, and I'll get them under contract saying that I'm going to bring my money to rehab it. I'm going to market the property, and I'm going to find the end buyer. And the reason most people like to do that is that I will cover all closing costs, realtor commissions. I pay for everything. Only
Hmm.
thing the seller is going to get is a net number at closing, which usually that's my target, is try to find that number that they're happy with. Everything else is just part of the paperwork structuring, whatever floats their boat. At the end
Right.
of the day, it's just the number. So once I found that strategy, next thing you know, Ty Guerrero is another sub two student and mentor. He leads one of our local groups here in
Great guy.
NorCal.
I need to get him on the
And
podcast too.
yeah, and so Ty's family lives in town here where I live, so we kind of knew that, hooked up with
Hmm.
each other, and then my first deal I found just happened to be a novation. I had a contractor come by my house. He had another contract that was selling his house, wanted too much money. It was in terrible shape,
Classic.
and he couldn't sell it on the MLS because it was just too bad a shape. It wouldn't
Right.
qualify probably for a loan. But he wanted too much, so I went and looked at it, and I was ready. The novation, I'm ready. I'm going to pitch it. I pitched the number, said, "What do you want?" He was shooting for a number of 675. A year before that, he had it up for 525, and I knew that. But if I'm going to get in the house and not have to use my credit and apply for a loan to buy this house, just come up with rehab, I'll overpay. And so he was happy with that number, and so I've got Ty on it, and Ty and me partnered on this first novation, and it went really smooth. And I learned a lot from that, but I've done like several since then, and
Hmm.
every single novation's been different. Every contract's been
Interesting.
different. Every seller has different needs. There's one we're doing right now in Atlanta that has to be probably the most outrageous contract because the seller wanted $25,000 down, and then every 3 months, 25 grand. Plus, I have to
Hmm.
cover all the closing or all the holding costs,
That's
mortgage,
crazy.
insurance, and all of that. And it was just a lot, and I never done that or offered that, but in order to get the deal, we agreed. And so here
Interesting.
we are. We did it, and that's the beauty of the novation. You kind of just cater to what the seller really floats their boat and the number that they're going to be happy with, and there you go. And
So
it's
this is something I'm interested in. We'll eventually get to mindset, which is mainly what this podcast is about, but I do want to do a little bit of real estate with you. When do you think situation wise? I mean, do you just always like the first thing in your head if it's a fix and flip just immediately go to the novation and just go from there?
no, we usually we'll know what we want to come in and try it, but we'll always go for the first thing is a low cash offer. I mean, of course, that we always try to anchor that first. We'll always try to get a
Hmm.
low cash offer. If not, we'll pitch terms. And if that's not going to go there, that's when I break out the novation. Like, oh, there's a third option here that it might do exactly what you need. It's going to get you more money. You just need to work with me, and I treat it and I present it as a partnership. I really don't use the term novation. I just basically say we're going to be kind of a partner on this, where I'll bring the funds, you have the house.
Hmm. I like it. It's cool. I mean, it's cool how what I love about this business is everybody kind of finds their niche a little bit and then they just go full into that. That's what I've noticed is when people become really successful, at least at the beginning. I mean, I know for instance, Pace does damn near everything, but I've noticed that I feel like this is a thing that I've noticed that the newer you are, the first thing to do, I feel like, is focus on something. If it's like me, if it's going to be agents slash wholesalers, focus on that. Stop trying to do direct to seller. Don't like start doing all sorts of other crazy stuff if like you're just starting out. So my question to you is like, what do you think of that, of like focusing really hard on like one strategy or one type of way of doing it?
Well, I think it's a smart way from the beginning because you could really get overwhelmed by everything
Yeah.
out there, and
So
especially
much.
with the extra creative tools that we have. It could really, that you got so much it could get pretty crazy. So you really have to niche it down to what you want to do, which for me, like the Novation, because I liked it. The first one, I thought I did it, and okay, everyone's going to be the same, but it wasn't. Everyone was different. So I've really learned a lot doing several of them at this point now. But also, like you said, I want to do the buy and holds. I want my Airbnbs. We're doing it, and of course now we are buying cash deals, and flipping them with not with innovation, but we like to fix and flip. I mean, that's it. We don't
Yeah.
do much wholesaling. Some
Yeah.
right now we're fortunate. We're at a spot to where we're getting enough contracts locked up where we aren't taking them all because we don't want to overwhelm ourselves as well. So we're trying to stay focused. Like, okay, this month we have enough projects right now,
Mhm.
and so let's keep locking contracts, but let's wholesale them. Let's go
Nice.
that strategy. Let's bring in some quick cash.
Awesome. I love it. So what do you like about fix and flipping more than wholesaling for you?
Well, for me, because the whole reason why I wanted to flip houses, because I've owned 5 of my own, and every one I'd get it and fix it up and design
Oh,
it
nice.
and sell it. But it's something about that final sale and all the work you put in it, and
Nice.
seeing the response from people that buy them was like, to me, like, man. And I never lost in a real estate transaction as far as selling, fixing up house and selling it. So I'm like,
Nice.
there's something to this, and
Yeah.
I love doing it. Um, it's just something about just having that creative. It's being creative. I'm a
Right.
musician, so when I can get creative and design houses and pick the colors and tiles and all that, I dig it. And so the other part of it, wholesaling and everything else, was just more about the paperwork part. And that's why I have a team like John and Ryan are my partners, where John is our integrator and Ryan, he's our closer. And
Yeah.
so we put together a pretty good team where I manage a lot of the construction and the jobs, and I go out and get the private money. So we all have our part on our conveyor belt, so to say.
I like it. That's a good partnership. That's a good way to split it in threes is one integrator, one project manager or like person who manages all the projects, and then one closer. I like that a lot. I like that setup. So I want to go. Usually, my next question is like, how did you get like what was like your first entrepreneurial stuff? But I kind of want to go. I want to talk a little bit about your music career because it's super rare. I mean, I don't know that many musicians who are like actually touring. So I kind of want to start with like how did you get into music? I'm gonna start there. Like, what was like your first music stuff?
I started playing guitar, I think, around 8th grade when I
Oh,
seen
nice.
the band Kiss.
Oh, nice.
And so I wanted to be, I wanted to play guitar, but I didn't really take it serious. I look and go, oh, the rock stars, they got a great life. I want to live the rock star life. You didn't think about it. But I was growing up as a athlete. I was actually, my father's a coach, and I was, all my brothers are big guys like me, and we're football players or baseball players.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of blew it my senior year, got caught drinking the first week of school
Okay.
by the new principal, and
Oof.
uh, and he made an example out of me, kicked me out of school, so I had to go to a continuation high school. So I'm
Hmm.
like, well, there goes my athletic career. I'm not going to get scholarship and all that for sports. I guess I'm going to be a musician.
Nice.
So I went to college and took private lessons for a bunch of years, and then auditioned for my first band, which is this band Testament that I'm in. And I first audition, I got the gig, and I've been here
Nice.
ever since.
So Testament, first off, I mean, I'm gonna keep asking about that, but can I find your music on like Spotify? Like, where do I
Yeah,
find
you
your
can
music?
find Spotify. We have about 17 albums out. We've been putting out since
Nice.
the 80s.
And then are you the singer or just the guitarist?
I'm the lead singer.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm going through it all, man. I'm going through it all. So, okay, so I feel like something like music, like you were already saying like the similarities of like being creative and like trying to find like having to do the same thing with like a house as you would like with a song. So I'm curious, like when you were starting off, right? Because that's such a like adventurous career. Like, did you have anybody that was saying like, "Hey, don't do that. You should get like a regular job."
Of course, my mom, my whole career.
And how'd you
No,
deal
no.
with it?
Well, see, my mom was a singer and she didn't continue professionally, so she thought I should not go down that same route and just go to school, put my head down, learn, and she always said that till I think I got my first royalty check and bought a car and moved out and and didn't look back
Love it.
and my mom and dad didn't see me perform. I was in the band for about 7 years until they finally came and seen me at the Oakland Coliseum. We opened up for Judas Priest, and
Damn,
they
that's
finally
sick.
came to see a show, and it was the first and only shows they've seen. And from that point on, she was just very proud and never said,
It's nice.
give it up again after that. So yeah,
So
but
how'd you deal with it in the moment though? Because I feel like a lot of people who are watching it, that's like really hard for a lot of people. Where when they're starting something like music or entrepreneurship, those family and friends, you love them. Obviously, you love your mom, but like how do you deal with that and push forward anyways?
well, for me, it's because I grew up. We didn't have a lot of money. We had a small house, and we wanted more, and I wanted better for my family in the future. And so, you know, I wanted to prove to them that I was taking it serious. This music wasn't just a fad. I was just playing in a local band. This is a professional band. We got a record deal. My first year in the band, I got a record deal,
Nice.
a six album deal with Atlantic Records.
Nice.
So she says, "Well, take it pretty serious," and it was something that I really focused on. And again, that's why I went to school and college. I didn't know anything about singing. I knew how to play guitar. I didn't know how to sing, so I had to learn. Just like being an entrepreneur, like we're doing, being these creative things, I learned and just took action and applied it. And just like when singing, the more years I sing, the more comfortable I feel on stage, easier to talk to people. I probably sing a little better than I did at the beginning, just like my real estate career and all the other things I've started to do. It's just all a learning process and putting in the time, really.
Okay. So it was just more or less just kind of just pushing through and just being like, "Look, mom, I got to do it. Like, I'm sorry. This is what we're doing. We're doing this because I want to do it, right?"
Yeah, and luckily, I mean, I had an older brother's musician and two younger brothers musicians, but they weren't professionally. So
Hmm.
you know, those guys went and did other things, but I stuck with this. So I think she knows. Once I put my head to something and I really want something, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep moving forward till I get it accomplished. That's just the nature of who I am. Once I set my mind to something, my mom used to always joke, when you're younger, you used to always just you got to have these Nike shoes when we couldn't afford them, but you had to have Nike shoes. And I'm like, yeah. And did I get them? She's like,
I
yeah,
want
you
the
got them.
good stuff.
You got them. And I'm like, okay. Well, I was persistent. I
I
put my
love it.
mind to it. I had to get it. So yeah,
So talk
but
about persistence a little bit, because I'm gonna cut you off just so that because I like moving to these catchphrases or words. So like, because I've actually doing this podcast a little bit, it's interesting how people either define certain words or how it affects their life. So like, what do you what do you think persistence is, and how do you keep persisting at things that are hard? Because being a musician is hard, entrepreneurship is hard. A lot of times it's not working the way you want it to. How do you keep persisting through that, or how do you develop persistence as a trait?
well, I would think it also starts, like we said, a little bit of mindset, but just having the right frame of mind, being
Hmm.
persistent, because if you get over persistent, you can wear on someone's nerves to where they don't want to deal with
Right.
you or give you the time of day because you're too much.
Right.
Um, So there's a fine line of that. So to me, being persistent was for myself, inner self, learning, experiencing, taking action, just doing it by like because I was an athlete. I learned how to hit the ball. I learned how to kick the football. All these things I did, I had to put in time, even though I hated practice, hated the long thing. My body ached, but I had to do it to get better. And that was
Right.
being persistent. You just have to stick with it. Just like in the real estate, where we started this thing off making a lot of cold calls.
Right.
And when we first started, we didn't have the best lists. We weren't talking to motivated people. So that
Right.
really got burned us out big time because just we were learning and we didn't know the right way. We just were told you get a list, start calling. This is how you do it until we figured it out. Oh, well, let's get a
Yeah.
better list. There's got to be a better list. There's
Ah,
got to be a better way to talk to people who are motivated. Where are these people, motivated people?
nice.
So you figure it out, but the persistent is just not giving up. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people that give up, and same
Right.
thing in music. There's a lot of people that just said, "Oh, the genre's changing, so my band doesn't fit anymore. Let's stop playing."
Right.
But then it comes back 10 years later, and
Right.
they're done. Oh man, that was my band. I gave it up. I should have
Right.
stuck with it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You got to find that inner voice that's going to tell you, Chuck, I know this sucks and you might not be having fun right now, but keep going. And I always tell myself that a lot. I'm not a quitter. I know that because I'm always telling myself, don't, even especially if I don't want to do something and it's like, oh man, I don't look forward to this. Oh man, this is just, my guts are grinding, but I'm going to do this. And I did it. An example, like for sub two, there's a thing they had the daily dial.
Hmm.
And I was scared out of my wits to get on that thing. I was so scared
The
and to make
Daily Dial, just for people to know, because some people watch some of them, some people don't. The Daily Dial is a thing in the Sub 2 community where we mock cold call, right? More or less. I never went
yeah,
on the Daily Dial, but it's mock
yeah.
cold calling, right?
Yeah, it's where they mock it and they actually stop you and talk to you and help you walk you through the steps.
Right.
Well, I was so scared about doing that. And the first one I said, I'm gonna go do one. I'm gonna do the East Coast. I got up like it was like 5 in the morning.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and I got out there and I was just on there just to kind of be a fly on the wall. And then they actually called my name. I'm like, what?
Hmm.
They called my name? Oh no. Right? Oh
Did they
shoot.
do that randomly? Like,
They did
you
because I wasn't the normal person on the East Coast. I was a new guy. Oh, hey Chuck, where are you from? I'm over here in California.
oh,
Great.
hilarious.
Let's bring you up here. And I'm like, oh no, I was just here to fly on the wall. And so my first cold call on that daily dial, I actually tapped out because I got to a certain point and I was just like way out of my element in my league.
Okay.
But it was a wake up call. And it really made me in my mindset, okay, you're never going to be put on the spot and have that feeling of embarrassment like that ever again, dude.
Right.
So get it together. Come on, start. So I made it a point that every single day I went on the daily dial after that call. And they started the West Coast, so I was like, oh, thank God, West Coast.
Yeah.
And so the very first day of the West Coast daily dial, I was the first one to raise my hand, and
Nice.
I wanted to participate. And then every day after that, I was the first one when I got in, the first one to raise my hand. So I participated every single day, but it wasn't fun. But I
Yeah.
knew it was going to pay off in
Yeah.
the end, and it did. And that again, that's part of that persistence, and wanting the will, and just wanting something better.
I love it. Man, yeah, I love that too. Like I want to like you're making me want to go on the daily dials even though like I feel like I could talk to sellers pretty well. It would just be fun to try it out and see if like somebody can throw something at me that I have no idea how to deal with. That would be pretty fun.
Well,
Just
the hardest thing is I could talk to sellers all day, no problem. But when you're on the daily dial and you know people that know you,
are
that,
watching.
watching,
Oh, interesting.
that's the hard part in your head. You're going, oh my God, what are they thinking?
You
Don't
just gotta
blow it.
you gotta
So
forget that people are watching.
yeah, so by doing that daily dial, practice amongst your peers there, making a cold call is easy at that point. Because you're like,
Yeah.
they make the point like you're going to be done and never talk to this guy in about 4 or 5 minutes.
Right.
Wow, I didn't think about it that way. You're right.
Right.
I'm not afraid of that call. That's a no problem.
Right. It really doesn't matter at all. In
Doesn't
like the
matter.
grand scheme of things, it's not even a snap of the fingers
But
at
before
all.
that, I was scared to get to that call because I didn't want to sound dumb. I didn't want to sound like I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm,
I didn't have a deal, so I was just frightened, you know.
yeah. Do you think
Um,
it was the fear of what was the fear of specifically, you think?
not knowing the answer, not knowing
Gotcha.
how to overcome the objection, because there's always
Gotcha.
going to be an objection, and I didn't know how to handle the objection.
Right. And you
And
didn't want
that's
to sound stupid to the seller, right?
Yeah, and that's what we learned in the daily dial, and that was the great thing about it is like I'd come in there and I'd say, "Hey, yesterday I had this call with the seller, and here's what I couldn't get over. Here's what they brought up," and then we'd work it out on the dial. We'd role play that exact call that I did, and
Nice.
we'd stop and work it out, and maybe what I should do on my follow up, so that next day or that day after the daily dial, I'd call them back, be prepared, because I just practiced it and ran it through with the group. So that
I
was
love that.
great. That was the great thing about that.
I love that. That's amazing. That's a cool story in the sense of like how one can get over fear too is really practice. Right? That's what I'm hearing when you say that is like a really easy way to get over fear is by practicing doing the thing and just doing it and then seeing that it's not that bad. And something like the daily dial is cool because I mean it's funny. You said you were actually more nervous on the daily dial than an actual cold call, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's interesting in a sense too because it's in my head it would be the daily dial would be easier because it's practice, but that's so interesting that because everyone's watching it's even more scary than like a cold call because it's true nobody hears the cold call, but I guess everybody's watching the daily dial.
Well,
So it's
the
interesting.
scary thing is because I was new and there was OG students that closed
Right.
deals and knew it. So you're thinking in your head, "Oh man, they're critiquing me. I'm saying the wrong thing. Oh, I'm blowing it." And
Right.
that just helps you get over it. So when you go to make that cold call, it's like, "Oh, this is
It's
nothing. I
easy.
don't know this guy."
I
So
like that. I'm trying to think of like an even like I think the obvious lesson is just do it and realize it's not as bad. And then I'm curious, like an even better lesson is I'm curious if this would is a good idea, is like make it even harder than it is, and you'll realize when you need to do the thing, it's not even that hard. Here's what I would say. When you're practice really hard, and then when you show up, it won't be when it's like showtime. When it's like that's I feel like you agree with this with music is that like or at least this is what I've heard with athletes and music. It's like the show was the easy part. The practicing was everything. Would you agree with that?
it is because the practice, and like for me, just an example, like before I perform on a show, I do an hour warm up ritual, and it's the same one I've done for 35 years, the same one, and I won't
Wow.
sing until I do a warm up. So I do it for an hour, and
What is it?
it's just vocal notes and scales that I do
Okay.
for an hour. But by the time I finish that, I know my voice is ready. I know my throat is ready for it, but my nerves and my stomach are still spinning because I'm got to go out and perform. And it usually takes the first song. After I get out there and the first song's halfway through, my nerves calm down. Okay, I got through it. I started. My voice is okay. I made it. But if I didn't do that warm up and I went out there, it would be some mental thing in my mind saying, "Oh, I'm not ready. Oh,
Interesting.
my voice is gonna crack. I didn't warm up, so I'm not gonna make the whole show."
What do you think that is?
It, it's because it's a routine. It's my
Mm,
routine that I broke my routine. If I
right.
were to break it, so I don't ever break it. I never sing unless I warm up. I never
Hmm.
break it because I know just from a routine. Okay, I finished my hour. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Interesting.
So it's and
That's
it's,
so
it,
cool.
it's so it's kind of like applying like the same thing what we do when we learn anything else. You learn it, you get out there and apply it. It's more scary and harder to learn with your peers.
Yeah, I like it. That is super interesting. That's something I've also been trying to explore a little bit on this podcast is like the power of rituals. A little bit. Like I have a morning ritual, which is like something I do with my team every day, is like watch this Tony Robbins morning motivation thing, and then we do the daily affirmations. And also I try to work out in the morning. When I do those three things, my day is just 10 times better. It's always better. Even it doesn't really matter what happens afterwards. I mean, save a few things, but usually after, if it's like normal stuff, even like because you can be tripping about a real estate deal really hard sometimes, especially if you're newer. But I've noticed, I think there's something to having a ritual before you perform or before you do a deal or whatever it is that really makes it just a lot better. It's interesting. It's something I've noticed, and I'm just it is an interesting thing to think about.
Well, like in
Uh,
your case, you probably feel off if you didn't do the workout. If you just didn't do
yeah,
that work, you probably go, "I'm a little off today," or
yeah.
something.
I don't feel as good.
Yeah,
I just feel worse.
yeah. So there's something that triggers the mind when you complete tasks,
Yeah,
that you put in front of yourself. And when you complete and you feel good about it and you didn't have a problem, you even feel better.
I love it. So okay, so I'm gonna start with the music because I feel like you were a lot younger when you started in music, and I consider like music and entrepreneurship in a lot of ways like parallels. So I'm gonna start with like if you could go back to your younger self, right when you're like starting to do music or start joining the band, what would you tell yourself now with all the knowledge you have? Like tell your past self.
Well, I would have told myself to be a little more business savvy in the beginning
Okay.
because as far as the music goes, because I joined a career that was sex, drugs, rock and roll. Let's go on tour. And that's what you're as a kid growing up. Wow, I can't wait to go and see all the groupies and do all the things you
Do
see
all the drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
that you hear about, right?
Yeah.
So, at the beginning you're thinking that's what it's all about, but once you get out there, you quickly learn. Well, I learned over the years because I spent a lot of those first 10 or 15, maybe even 20 years just focusing on music. Money's going to come. We're making a good living. The money keeps coming in. We're all good. But you don't think if I would have known what I know now when I started, and maybe started this real estate journey sooner, things with life would have been different. But I,
Interesting.
I feel really blessed where I'm at now because I've had a great, wonderful career. Not a lot of people get to do what they love to do as a career. And I've been really lucky to do that and still do that. But now I found this whole other family and
Yeah.
whole other thing that really has me
Yeah.
and I really feel a part of. And, maybe 5 years ago, I would think in my mind, what's going to happen when I stop singing, man? What am I going to do? Because we
Right.
make a great living, but what am I going to do then? Money's going to run out, and what happens? So I had it really tweaked my my brain out. And
Yeah.
then once I joined that real estate mentorship, and once I really got into sub two, I really saw and got like,
It all
everything clicked
clicked.
and everything fell into place, and now I feel really good where I'm at. And so now I'm actually like this. Well, do I retire now in music? I got something here that's got leads a lot more of my time right now. Music's fun and I still love entertaining, but I'm right there where I can probably walk away and just be very happy with the real estate and the REI. It just, right now.
Well, what's
So
the debate? I'm curious. What's that debate in your mind about whether to
because
keep
because
singing
there's
or keep
20
doing
other
this?
20 other mouths in the band and crews and people that get fed by our organization still performing and touring.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I'm the main guy. I'm the main singer. If I
Right.
left, it's over. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I've always told myself, I'll stop doing this when I'm not having fun or I can't sing, perform to my full potential. And I haven't hit that yet.
Right.
So, and at this point, especially for us, because we've been over around 35 years, we've worked with the same agents for about 30 years. And so now we're at the point in our career where we're like, just book us these cool places that we've never been. You know, we went to Kathmandu a couple years ago, and
Ooh,
we go to Thailand, and you
that's pretty
know,
sick.
we play Dubai. We got a show in Dubai coming up, and it's like those are cool things that like turn me on now about playing. It's like, wow, I get to go play for somebody I've never played for, experience the culture, the food, the people,
Mm,
everything I've never met before. So
it's a cool way
that
to travel.
that's what gets me excited to meet a culture and experience something I never had before.
Nice. I love that. So, what do you think what lessons have you learned in music that you could apply to entrepreneurship or vice versa?
Um, I think you hit the nail earlier. Is that just like music? If you believe in a certain genre of music, stick with it.
Interesting.
Don't jump whatever's current and hitting on the charts now or something. Don't try to be that band, and don't try to follow
You're
what's
not
on the
trying to be
radio.
Skrillex, Chuck?
No, 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 no. And I've learned. It's funny because I've stuck with playing my type of heavy metal, and I've
Hmm.
actually been praised through fans in magazines like Testament's the only band that's stuck to their guns and been the same band and are getting better with age, because we've been writing better music over the years. Usually bands write their best stuff at the beginning and then they slow down at the end of their careers and kind of write mediocre music. For our
Right.
band, it was a bit different. We had great success at the beginning, and we had a lull during the 90s, and then early 2000 it picked back up for metal, and we've always stayed what we do in our lane. So same thing with entrepreneurship and real estate. Like you said, if you're going to be a wholesaler, focus on wholesaling. You're going to be a fix and flipper, focus on that. Focus on them all, and stay in that lane, because learn as much as you can and be that guy. Be known for that guy in that lane. Just like
Yeah.
us, we are known for the thrash metal band that grew up in the 80s, like during Metallica. So that's what we're known for, because we've always stuck in that lane.
Yeah. I like that. That is a really good lesson too. And to me, and like I kind of want to clarify in the sense that I think at the beginning it's really good to stick to one strategy in real estate and doing really the deep dive. And I think it's okay to start doing like I'm starting to do some like we're about to probably do a flip together, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But what I notice, and this is like just getting more into it, is people will do real estate and then try to do crypto. That sounds like what it is to me with like, thrash metal, and then you try to
Hey,
do EDM.
I got
Are you
crypto.
a crypto guy?
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, imagine if crypto was like you were like trying to become like I don't know, maybe you are like, but imagine if like you put all your profits from flipping into crypto. Is that what you're doing? Maybe you
No
like
way. No
just
way.
that'd be really funny if that's what you were doing.
No way.
Be like,
No.
uh oh,
Now we've had a couple current cryptocurrency coins approach the band, and us to promote them, and they would give us this one. Privacy was one company, and they gave us like
that's a
250,000 coins.
sponsorship. That's completely different. They're just giving you the crypto. I'm talking about
But
like your
I
investment.
buy, but that's when I started getting me into cryptos, because like, oh, we'll take it. What's this all about? And
Right.
then as I got into it, I started now buying, Bitcoins and Ethereums and a bunch of other smaller coins that I buy. Just I have a couple guys that have been really stuck with it and really are doing well with it. So I kind of follow them and hold on to their coattail.
I love that.
But
Okay.
those are all really long term investments. Crypto
Those
is.
are also side things to your main thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What I'm talking about is like if you like stop the flipping because crypto's hot now. That's what we're talking about, right? Like you
Yeah.
can't stop
Right.
the thing that you're good at and that the
Exactly.
main thing you're doing. Like that would have been really funny if you told me you're like, yeah, honestly, I'm taking all my profits, putting it into Bitcoin and getting 40x. I'd be like, all right, well, Chuck's a different
If
animal.
I had a crystal ball, I mean, I blew it, because yeah, I could have got in on, well, when Bitcoin was like $1,800 a coin a while
Yeah,
back. My buddies buy these, buy them. I'm like, that's expensive for a coin, you crazy?
yeah.
And then I see him hit 100 grand. I'm like, man, I should have bought a ton of those coins in.
Well, I remember when my friends like talking about drugs. My friend, I remember when it was like $300 when I was in college, and he was using Bitcoin to buy like drugs and stuff. So like I remember like there's always like a you could have, but then like everybody could have done everything, like it's always like what's actually going to happen in the future with whatever you're investing in. But yeah, 100%. Both of us are saying the same thing, though. It's about the focus on the thing that's working. And that makes sense a lot. I'm curious with music. I mean, it sounds like there was a lot of pressure on you guys to change music types.
Well, what happened for us is we're a thrash band when we began, but we went to Atlantic Records, which was a big major label for a band like us that was kind of an underground thrash band. We don't have
Right.
radio hits. And Atlantic
Right.
Records, they are a big machine that was looking for bands that have radio hits.
Hmm.
So they were leaning on us like, hey, can you write a ballad? Can you write a hit? Something we could put on the radio?
Right.
So they were really trying to bend us and form us to be what they wanted, what they knew. They didn't know thrash metal. Our thrash metal started really in '85 as we really started getting ground. So nobody knew what it was, and they thought, what is that? It's just fast and loud and noisy, And I'm not playing that on the radio.
And then you started screaming at them in the song with your most popular song.
Yeah, well, we went along actually and wrote some ballads and had some radio airplay because we had a
Nice.
big machine that catered to it. So of course we did it, but that's not what we were known for. We were known to be
Right.
a thrash band. So even to this day, Atlantic still haunts me because Sirius Radio on like Ozzy's Boneyard or something like that, they'll play our ballad, and we're like, "That's not us. We got much better hard songs than that." What are you? But that's just what
That's what
happens.
plays on the
Yeah,
radio, though.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Um, so I wanted to ask you this. So in entrepreneurship, I'm going to get a little bit back to that. What is the goal? Like, what are your goals right now? What are you trying to achieve?
Because of my age, just right now, trying to achieve a comfortable retirement for me and my wife.
Mhm.
Don't have just don't have to look back and you know we bought an RV. Our goal was like when we get an RV, we're going to retire and we're going to go travel the country with our dogs and
Nice.
have fun and do all that. So we have a plan.
Well, what's the plan? I'm asking what the plan is. What's the goal?
Well, I mean, I think now since I do have the real estate and we have our team and our company started, I will probably start leaning, off of getting off of the road because, of course, I got to leave my house and all that. Where if I wasn't in the band anymore, I just focus on my real estate. I can do that from anywhere,
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of that. I love that. So that fits into more of my plan to where, hey, I can go travel in my RV, sit on the beach, and still,
Hmm.
do real estate. So that to me, that's it. That's the plan. It's okay. I got my guys. I got my company. Got my plan. Got my RV. Let's go. So
I love that.
so I'm on a real. Again, I got people that rely on me, so I can't just give up. So I'm kind of just gonna maybe my voice will give up, or maybe COVID didn't help either. That kind of
Yeah.
staggered everything. So we'll see, but I'm gonna keep playing music until I'm not having fun. If I'm not having
Gotcha.
fun, I'll be done.
I think that's the best way to do it always. It's like because sometimes people ask me like how long I'm going to do real estate. My one answer that I think of is like never, but the real answer is until I stop having fun. Although real estate, I can't imagine ever not having fun because it's such a fun game.
Yeah,
Like it's literally the best thing ever. You make a ton of money, you help out a lot of people, and you meet a lot of cool people. The real downside to me only really is like at the beginning it's kind of hard and then it can sometimes be stressful, but I don't know, like it's such a fun game. I love
it's
it.
it's a lot. I mean, if I was a solopreneur, yeah, it would probably be way tougher, and I'd be way stressed, and I'd probably be more lean to give up, maybe because you know you have to wear so many hats. Where I'm so lucky I have Ryan and John, and now we're even trying to expand our team and bring in a few more people, just to we look at it as a conveyor belt. Everybody has their position on that conveyor belt.
How did Ryan, you and John meet? I mean, I know sub two, but like, how did you guys decide to partner up?
Well, it's funny because we are in the Northern Cal Accountability Group, and before Pace had the masterminds, me and John and Ryan met at the NorCal group, and I posed a question there because I kept hearing squad up, get with these people, and start a team. And I was thinking, why do I want to go out there and recruit people that don't know as much as I do, that I'm gonna have to kind of teach or train? Why don't I just try to get a hold of some of these sub two guys that studied the same stuff as me? And so I brought that to the group one day, and John reached out and said, "Hey, me and Ryan actually were talking about getting together, starting a company. Are you interested in maybe joining up with us?" I said, "Yeah, let's get together. Let's go have lunch and talk." And so that kind of was the first planting of seeds. And then Pace offered the mastermind, and me and John went to the mastermind. And so when we went to the mastermind, that's when the whole plan kicked in, because Pace pretty much presented, the conveyor belt. He opened up the doors to show us his company and how they work and how they float and how they got to where they're at. And the conveyor belt, looking at it as a conveyor belt, having different people on the conveyor belt, and every person focusing on their part of the conveyor belt. The guy at the end doesn't know what the guy at the beginning does. The guy at the beginning doesn't know what the guy at the end does. Everybody focuses on their strength. So that really hit home, and we're like, okay, well, we need a team. So John, let's get together. You're our integrator, because John he's a computer analyst. So that's all he does is analyze data and stuff. So he was perfect for the job for that. I met him through the Daily Dial also, and is like, wow, he's a great caller, So we became close friends quick, and then me and him were always the ones on the dial raising our hands, participating. So we said, let's team up, dude. And so we after we learned that Pace's mastermind, we said, he laid it out for us. He laid out the whole plan for us, from the VAs to all the software used, the apps we needed, and we went for it. And he even told us, go give it 90 days, hire the VAs, go out there, give it 90 days, and then assess your company and see where you guys are at and what you guys want to do from there. And that's exactly what we did. And we quickly realized that, wow, we're spending like $5,000 a month on all these VAs and leads, and we're not talking to motivated people, and we're burning out on these cold calls all day. It was like, man, I don't want to do this every day. This isn't fun. And so we figured it out, and John streamlined down. I think now we spend maybe $500 a month on our marketing, because
Wow,
he's learned to stack lists better. Now that we have our little street team, we have that are
you
bringing
spend
us
500 a month? That's like how much I spend, and I do only JV. Do you do like direct to seller, spending
Yeah,
500 a month?
yeah. I mean, that's that.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean,
So what are
we,
you doing? Are you like who's cold calling? Who's like texting? I'm just
well,
curious.
what we started doing is shifted from using our Podio and all that and the call tools and all that. We went to REI Reply
Oh,
and
I use REI Reply.
REI Sift. So John really studied that and learned that REI Sift how to really stack the list and because our problem is that we want more motivated people. We're talking to these people that aren't motivated. How do we talk to more motivated people? So John figured, I'm going to learn, I'm going to stack these lists. And he started doing more of, because we started leaning away from texting, but then we kind of went back because he learned that through his REI Sift and all that, some little ninja tricks to where he was doing 10 touch text campaigns, to where we knew that, okay, 10 touches, they didn't reply, but now by the 10th touch, they're finally replying to us. Now we know that that's somebody who's motivated and wants to talk to us. So
REI
now,
Reply lets you do that. I
yes.
use REI Reply.
So now we're talking to a lot more people that are ready for our calls and ready to talk to us. And it just, it changed the whole business, because the cold calling sucked. And now it's not cold calling, that we have a purpose for every call. They're expecting the call. They reply to us. They know it's coming. So our turnaround and our closing rate totally increased by this, and our costs were down. So we're like, we're doing something right.
Nice.
And then Pace had the Driving for Deals challenge, and we as students put our names out there to all the non-students, and I got about 75 people that responded to me and reached out to me,
Damn.
and Ryan got
Nice.
about 35. So we had about 100 people, and we decided let's reach out to all of them and just start a street team and start doing a Sunday Zoom with all of them from 11 till 12 every day, and they always run over till like 1. But we do this every Sunday with our little street team, and a lot of them haven't done deals. They don't know how to talk to sellers. So we're just sharing what we know, how to talk to sellers, how to qualify them, go through the 4 pillars, how to door knock, what to say if they're pre-foreclosure. So we just kind of walk them through the whole process and then bring them to us. Let's get you a deal. Let's close a deal for you, And
Nice.
so that has been really helpful. We've been really slammed and overwhelmed with that. And then a few of those street team people are doing the pay-per-clicks. So they're bringing those to us too, and they're paying for it,
Crazy.
not us. So we're like, oh man, this is even getting better.
So I'm curious just because I want to know your organization. So is Ryan doing like following up with all the leads? Like, is he like the full on acquisitions manager, or is there no
He is
VA?
now. He
Okay.
is now. We got rid of all the VAs. He's full on acquisition manager. Me and him were both doing that. But once we started getting into the flips and contractors, we really needed someone more watching that. So I'm managing more of the project manager, finding the contractors, going over the budgets, and then I'm finding all the private money. So that's kind of where my task fell into. And
Nice.
Ryan's just makes all the calls, and he's a much better closer than me. So I bring him there. And it's great because me and Ryan, every deal, every time we talk about it. We feed off each other. He's just he's just something about his voice. He just has that friendly voice to talk to. So I use my secret weapon.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. That was cool hearing because we had a call earlier today when I'm bringing a deal from an agent, and he was making some good jokes there. It was nice. It was cool to see for sure.
Yeah.
So okay, let me see if any of these questions that I got up here. So I'm curious. Do you have your ritual for singing? Do you have any other rituals related to business, like maybe a morning ritual, anything like that?
Well, of course, when we were doing the daily dial, we did affirmations all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When we were having our VAs, me, Ryan, and John would always have our calls in the morning and do affirmations. Um, we have it now. I mean, I don't think there's much rituals now as far as that go. I think because we're all set on our courses every day to what we need to get accomplished. Ryan
Right.
has a list of follow-ups, and I have my people just to kind of keep trying to find money. Um, I think the only ritual is for us to get on our Friday calls to each touch base, to wrap up the week, to see how things have went, and to talk about and how we can help each other out, or what we need to help our business.
Right.
As far as maybe bringing some people in, which we've actually, before your call, was another person who's a sub-2 and a real estate agent in SoCal. Had a lot to offer, great person, and we're probably going to bring her on to start working with us as well.
Nice.
So we're just
so
trying to
excited.
expand our team.
I'm just so excited to see where you guys go. Like we're gonna do quite a few deals. I mean, I think you're gonna be my guy when I feel like, you know what, I'd rather flip this one than wholesale it. I personally love wholesaling way more than flipping. To me, the idea of managing a contractor, I'm part of a mastermind that's just flippers, and hearing their horror stories of like a contractor running away with $70,000 just sounds so miserable to me. When like it's like, why, like, to me it's like, I'm good, I'm like Ryan, I'm good at the closing and the relationships part. I don't need to be the guy. Like, yes, I will make a lot more money per deal if I'm flipping it, but then flipping is a whole nother business. Like wholesaling in and of itself, the acquisitions part is a business, and then the flipping is like almost another business. Like it's like a whole different apparatus in that. So, but like I love the idea of like doing like what we were talking about, just splitting flips. When I'm like, you know what, Like for this one, like I've got some capital building up. It'd be cool to put it into a flip and get a little bit more money than I would on a wholesale. Um, so
And
yeah, no,
that's what I like about the wholesale. That's what we like is the quick cash coming into the company. That's all
right,
great.
super.
And we're actually at the point now where we have some stuff that are flips where we're going to have to wholesale them because we just don't have time. We have a lot of things going on. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves and get in too deep and not do a good job on something because
We need to talk more also when we're not on the podcast because that's what I do is I'm a disposition wholesaler. What I do is all day is get buyers, talk to buyers, and then dispo other people's deals. So we should also talk about those after this too.
yes, for sure.
But I'm gonna keep on the mindset stuff. So I would say like the last question or one of the last questions I have is basically like I would say like how if you were if you were talking to yourself or some this is very similar to the music question but now I'm just going to do it with the entrepreneurship is like if you're what is like the number one thing you would tell somebody starting out in real estate? What's like the number one thing you'd tell them while they're starting off?
Um, Networking. I mean,
Yeah,
for us, networking has been a big key because you never know who you're going to meet.
right,
You never know what they can bring to you or what they got to offer you. So networking has been the biggest thing. And I know when I first started getting into it, I really wanted to go to a lot of meetups, but COVID hit. And so it's like, shut the door on that. So now that things are loosening up, I want to get back into going to a bunch of, meetups and, because I think that's where us as sub two and having some creative extra things that we can use and meet people that don't necessarily understand it or don't know about
right,
it or if I think we had those conversations with people that go, wow, I didn't even realize, oh man, I'm going to call you on or ask you, what do you think about this property, what we should do with it, because we have a lot
right,
more exit strategies.
right. Yeah, I mean, like it also you just sound like a beast if you start spitting out some like sub two creative finance. People's like heads start being like, oh, this guy knows some stuff, right? Like this guy knows what he's talking about. I mean, for instance, even the agent that we were talking to, the fact that we even came up with the idea of the novation, she's like, that's genius. Like that totally makes sense. Fortunately, the seller wasn't into it, but like either way, like it's cool to hear that stuff. And yeah, and I feel like just as a sub two student, you can bring so much value to somebody starting off. I definitely like that answer. Networking is everything.
Well, it's funny because I went to a mastermind for Ty Guerrero and Adrian. They had a mastermind last month down in Dana Point,
Nice.
California, and they were all agents, mostly real estate agents, contractors, not much creative people or sub two people. So I was actually, me and Noah Hoffman was there. I was there. Stefan Lindstrom was there. We all got on a panel and I was on a panel for the novations.
Nice.
And my panel and I personally, the other guys I was with, everybody in the room just kept asking me questions because the novation was like a mystery to them. Like, what you're doing? What? And so I was talking about it, and I was the one that got asked the most questions because of the novation part of it from real estate agents and all these people are like, what is that? So during breaks, I had a lot of people coming up to me and saying, hey, here's my card. I'm going to talk to you about something. I got a lot of people I could probably come get a deal, And so just that power like that was networking for me. Just I got invited from Ty to go down there. That just opened up a lot of doors. That 3 days I was there, I met so many people as developers, private money people. And I'm not a hard guy to miss or forget, especially when my hair's all out and crazy. So they all came up and we had a nice conversations and we all went out for drinks later. So I established some great contacts at that thing.
Yeah. That's like, I mean, literally I'm a JV business. So literally the only way I make money is through networking and like meeting people and getting them to like me and then filling in the gaps of what they need to make it where we make some money all together. And yeah, it's why I love real estate. It's such a team sport. That's what I love about it so much. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurship is so much more single player. A lot of times, or at least it feels that way from like other stuff I did. Like I was really into stocks for a while, and that's a very single player game versus real estate. It's like you need everybody working together and like making it happen or making the to make the deal happen and make the transaction happen.
Right.
So
And we're lucky. We're in sub two. We got our
I mean that
our,
yeah,
our,
I
our
mean
sub
Pace
two
Creative,
families. We got our Facebook families there. We got our accountability groups. We have so many people that get outreach for anything we need, I believe, you know.
literally anything related to real estate, I could call somebody in sub two. I just have to find them to
Yep.
see what I would need. Okay, so my last question is do you first off, do you read a lot of entrepreneurial books? And if so, like what's the best book for a new entrepreneur, you think? Or a new musician? Because I consider those two like very similar. Like I don't know, in my mind
Yeah.
they are.
I mean, I've read all the books that Pace has, you know, turned us on through the mentorship. But for entrepreneurship, I don't know about that exactly. I'm reading the best one for me. The one I liked a lot to hit home was how do you ride a bike, or what was it? Don't let a ride a bike at its seminar. What was it called again?
Oh yeah, I know which one.
How to ride a You
Don't
can't
teach
ride a
it.
bike. Yeah, you can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar.
Yeah.
That
That was it.
that was a really good book. Had a lot of great stuff in there. Sandler Submarine and all that. So
What was in it? Just give us a little taste because I know
um,
I've heard me say that book, but I never read it.
yeah, the Sandler Submarine basically um, as far as talking to sellers for us, because when we talk to sellers, we learn the four pillars and basically carry them through the four pillars. Where the Sandler Submarine has 7 compartments, and it's a little more detailed, and it really guides you along how to carry the conversation to a seller while you're talking to them. Like each compartment, first one's rapport and bonding, upfront contracts. The second one, what's their pains. The third one, their budget.
You got a little chart there? What are you looking
I
at?
got my submarine right
So you
there.
have like a submarine chart of like whatever you're like, however the
Whatever I'm here, I got my little submarine. Make sure I'm going
what
through my compartment.
is it on a computer or is it like a picture? Can you show it to the people real quick?
It's just a little picture I drew, but it's just
Nice. Put it up there a little bit. I love that. It's hard to see, but oh, nice, perfect, awesome. So you go through the submarine as you're talking.
yeah. I go through the submarine and I close the compartments. You know,
Oh, that's
that's
amazing.
how I know I'm carrying it. Okay, I build my rapport. That's my first thing. Then I set my upfront contract, letting them know who I am, what we do, what we're looking to accomplish, what kind of company we are. Then I try to get their pain. What's their motivation and pain? And then I find out how much they're looking to get. What's their budget? Then I go into who's the decision makers on the deal here.
Right.
And then the fulfillment, how I'm going to fulfill and do what I'm saying I'm going to accomplish. And then the post sale, following up after the post sale, because there's always a post sale. Instead of just filing and never think about it, you can find another deal down the road with someone you've done a deal with it before. They'll probably most likely come to you again with another deal. So
Right.
it's always good in the follow up. So that book was good because it was always just focused on talking to sellers. And for me, when I first started, that was, I thought, my weakness, because that's why I did so much time in the Daily Dial. It was the nerves talking to people.
Right.
And I didn't know, I didn't have, nobody laid out how to do it. I just had 4 pillars. So the submarine actually focused me on how to carry my conversation and close each compartment after I was done, to make sure, okay, I got through all of those. And if I do that, I'll have a full scope of what's going on with the property.
I love it. All right, man. So I'm gonna start wrapping it up here. So they can find you on Spotify under Testament. That's if you want to start listening to Chuck's music, which I'm for sure about to listen to now that I knew you were part of a band. I didn't know you were part of a band your entire life. That's like new to me. Like that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
So Spotify Testament. How else can the people reach you? How can we get?
You can go to my Instagram at Chuck fucking Billy, FCKN Billy.
FCKN
FCKN
Billy. I love it. Love it.
You can find me there, but I do other things. Real estate. I got a line of vaporizers I
Do
sell.
you
We're starting.
like
We
weed
actually,
vaporizers?
yeah, weed
Dude, I'm
vaporizers.
buying one. What do you
Yeah,
like? That's so cool. Like, what
yeah,
do you mean? Like, wait, hold on. I'm not gonna end it just yet. Wait,
yeah.
do you
Well,
have some? Like,
yeah,
when are they
yeah.
becoming
If
available?
you
What
if
is
you
this?
go to a site called lordvapor.com, you'll see the Chief. That's my product there. I have
Oh
on
my God,
um,
lordvapor.com.
lordvapor.com. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
and if you
Well,
look at the
yeah,
Chief, you'll
I'm
see the
buying
Chief.
your vape, dude. I didn't know you own a vaping company too. Like, what?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
understand.
And I just cut a
That's
deal with.
hilarious.
I just cut a
Wait, how do you
deal.
spell it? Wait,
Uh,
before I end this, Lord, like Lord,
Vapor,
V
Faper.
F
Or
A
F A
P
V. I'm sorry, VAPOR.
VAPOR, lordvapor.com. Okay, I just want to wait. Okay, I'm gonna find this. All right,
I'll send
we're
you a
gonna
link.
talk later about that because that's hilarious, and I also would just want to say I own a Chuck Billy vaporizer.
There you go. And we're also
That's
making whiskey and beer right now too. We're actually cut a deal
who's
with
we? Is this like
my
you?
band, and me.
Oh, okay.
I
I
cut a
was like, is
deal
this
with.
like a project with Ryan and John? Like, who's making this
No,
stuff?
no, this is me here, but I got a deal with a Native American tribe in Washington State. It's the first Native American distillery in America.
Wow.
And so I'm cutting a deal. Actually, I got a big call with them tomorrow. They're going to start making Testament whiskey and Testament beer that they're going to distribute worldwide.
Oh my
So
God.
that's going to
I'm so
be something
excited.
pretty fun and some
So
cool things.
okay, so Lord Vapor, and where do you get the whiskey? Like, do you just have a Testament website? You should just have
Yeah,
a Testament
it's
website
it,
that
it's
sells this stuff.
yeah, testamentlegions.com is our website. But
Okay.
the whiskey's not up yet. We're just cutting that deal, but it's going to be happening this year. That and our own beer, and I try to wheel and deal in anything I can do.
Man, this
Yeah,
guy right here. I'm buying that stuff. That's gonna be hilarious. I'm buying the whiskey and I'm buying the vaporizer because that's sick.
right on.
Cool. All right, man. Do you have any last words for the audience? For
Well,
the people?
just like we said, put your mind to it, accomplish it, take action, man. That's it.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. All right, guys. Scorch the Fears. I think this is episode 14, which is crazy. I can't believe I've done 14 episodes now. I'm so glad you were able to come on. I'm like, I literally wasn't sure what I was going to do for it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to call like all the people that would be sick to come on here. And I'm so glad you were able to come on this one.
Cool.
So
Right on.
thank you
Thanks for
so
having
much,
me.
man. I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. Scorch the Fears. We're out.
All right, Jonah.
What a great podcast.